Under the scorching afternoon sun, a 10-year-old girl huddled against a brick wall, homeless and starving, nearly invisible amid the rushing crowd. Suddenly she spotted a sharply dressed businessman drop his wallet, stuffed with cash enough for warm meals and a safe bed. In that moment, survival temptation surged, but remembering her mother's words, she chose honesty, patiently waiting in the heat to return it to the stranger. What she didn't know was that this small choice would uncover a long-buried family secret and change her life forever. Before we return to the story, let me know where you're watching from and remember to subscribe, because things get even more gripping from here. The wind cut through Lily Monroe's threadbare coat like a blade. She sat pressed against the brick wall of a bakery on West Madison Street, trying to make herself small and visible. It was the kind of cold that made your bones ache, the kind that reminded you every second that you didn't belong anywhere warm. 10 years old. That's all she was. 10 years old, and she'd been on the streets for 8 months now, ever since Mom died. Her stomach cramped again, a sharp twist that made her bite down hard on her lip. She couldn't remember the last real meal she'd had. Yesterday? The day before? Time blurred together when you were hungry. She'd tried the soup kitchen on Clark Street 2 days ago, but the line had been so long, and by the time she got to the front, they'd run out. Lily pulled her knees tighter to her chest. Through the bakery window she could see fresh loaves cooling on racks, steam still rising. The smell made her mouth water and her stomach clench at the same time. She turned away. A woman walked past, heels clicking on the sidewalk. Lily opened her mouth, maybe just to ask for spare change, but the woman's eyes slid right over her like she wasn't even there. Lily closed her mouth. She was getting used to being invisible. Her hands were shaking, not just from the cold anymore. She recognized this feeling, the dizziness that came when your body started running on nothing. She'd felt it before, back when Mom was sick and they couldn't afford groceries. But Mom had always found something. A can of soup, crackers, anything. Mom. Lily squeezed her eyes shut. Don't think about it. Don't think about Mom's laugh, or the way she used to braid Lily's hair in the mornings, or how she'd hum while cooking dinner in their tiny apartment. Don't think about the hospital, or the funeral Lily couldn't afford to go to, or the landlord who changed the locks 3 days later. Don't think about being alone. A sharp voice cut through her thoughts. Hey, I told you yesterday, don't sit here. You're bad for business. Lily looked up. The bakery owner stood in his doorway, arms crossed, face red. She scrambled to her feet, mumbling an apology she didn't mean. Her legs felt wobbly. She walked, nowhere to go, just away. That's how most of her days went now. Walk until your feet hurt too much to keep going. Find a place to sit that nobody cared about. Try to sleep without freezing. Wake up and do it all again. The afternoon light was fading, turning everything gray. Rush hour. People everywhere, all moving fast, all knowing exactly where they were going. Lily envied that, having somewhere to go. She found a spot near the corner, beside a trash can. Not ideal, but out of the wind at least. She sat down, wrapping her arms around herself. A man in an expensive coat hurried past, phone pressed to his ear. Then a mother with 2 kids, both holding ice cream cones despite the cold. The little girl dropped hers and started crying. The mother bought her another one right away, just like that. Lily looked down at her shoes. They'd been wet for 3 days now. She couldn't remember what dry socks felt like. Movement caught her eye. The man in the expensive coat, he was pacing now, about 15 feet away, still on his phone. His free hand gestured sharply as he talked. Even from here, Lily could tell he was upset about something. His voice carried over the street noise. No, I need those contracts signed by tomorrow. I don't care if. He checked his watch, switched the phone to his other ear. Just handle it. He spun around, walking fast now, cutting through the crowd. His hand went to his coat pocket, patted it, came away empty. He checked his other pocket. Still on the phone, still walking, not looking where he'd been. Something dark fell from his coat. It hit the sidewalk 5 feet from where Lily sat. A wallet. Lily's heart jumped. She watched the man disappear into the crowd, completely unaware. She looked at the wallet. Expensive leather, probably heavy with cash. Her hands were shaking harder now. She glanced around, nobody had noticed. The wallet just sat there on the cold concrete, waiting. Lily's first thought was automatic, shameful, run. Grab it and run before anyone sees. Her second thought came slower, heavier. Mom's voice. We might not have much, baby, but we have our honesty, that's worth more than money. But Mom had never been this hungry. Mom had never slept under a bridge. Mom had never stopped under a bridge. Mom had never stopped it. Lily crawled forward and picked up the wallet. It was warm from being in the man's pocket. Her fingers found the edge and opened it before she could stop herself. Cash, more than she'd ever seen in one place. Crisp bills, neatly stacked. Her breath caught. This was enough for food. Real food. Maybe even enough for a motel room for a week, somewhere with a shower and a bed and a door that locked. She could take just some of it. He wouldn't even notice. Rich people never noticed. Her stomach growled, loud enough that a passing woman glanced at her. Lily's face burned. She looked back at the money, then at the cards tucked into the wallet slots. Credit cards. An ID. Daniel Monroe, the name said. She closed the wallet. Her whole body screamed at her to keep it. To take what she needed. Nobody would know. Nobody would care. Lily Monroe, the invisible girl on West Madison Street, she could just disappear with this wallet, and finally eat something. But she'd know. And Mom would know, somehow. Even if Mom was gone, she'd know. Lily clutched the wallet to her chest and sat back down against the wall right where she'd been before. She pulled her knees up, wrapped both arms around them with the wallet pressed between. And she waited. The cold seeped deeper. Her stomach cramped. People walked past, endless and uncaring. Lily kept her eyes on the direction the man had gone, hoping, praying that he'd realize what he'd lost and come back. She waited as the sky grew darker, as the streetlights flickered on, as the temperature dropped and her teeth started chattering. She waited because it was the right thing to do. Even if it hurt. Even if she was so hungry, even if every instinct told her she was being stupid, that survival mattered more than honesty. She waited because Mom had taught her better. The wallet stayed warm against her chest for a while, then grew cool like everything else. Lily closed her eyes and kept waiting. 1 hour passed. Lily had counted every one, watching the digital clock in the bank window across the street. Her fingers had gone numb around the wallet. The evening crowd thinned as people headed home to dinners and families and warm houses. Every time someone walked past, Lily's heart would jump, maybe this time, but they all kept going. She was starting to think he wouldn't come back. Maybe he had other wallets. Maybe he didn't even need this one. Rich people probably lost things all the time and just replaced them without a second thought. The bakery closed. The owner came out, locked the door, looked right through Lily like she was part of the building, and walked away. Then she saw him. The man Daniel Monroe, according to his ID, came around the corner fast, eyes scanning the sidewalk. His coat was unbuttoned now, his face tight with worry. He retraced his steps, looking down, looking around, checking his pockets again, like the wallet might magically reappear. Lily stood up. Her legs had stiffened from sitting so long in the cold. The wallet felt heavy in her hands. "Excuse me," she said. He didn't hear her. Too focused on searching the ground, muttering under his breath. "Excuse me," she tried again, louder. This time he looked up. His eyes passed over her, invisible again, then snapped back when he saw what she was holding. Lily held out the wallet with both hands, like an offering. "You dropped this." Daniel Monroe stopped moving, just stopped completely, staring at the wallet, then at her. For a long moment, he didn't say anything. Lily's arms started to shake from holding them out. "IQ." He crossed the distance between them in 3 strides and took the wallet, his hands fumbling as he opened it. Lily watched him check inside, the cash, the cards, everything still there. His shoulders dropped with relief so visible it made something ache in Lily's chest. He looked at her again. Really looked this time. Lily saw his eyes take in her dirty coat, her wet shoes, her too thin face. "You've been sitting here the whole time." His voice was different now, softer. "Waiting for me." Lily nodded. She didn't trust herself to speak. Now that the wallet was gone, the hunger came rushing back worse than before. Daniel's hand went into the wallet, pulling out bills. "Here. Please, take this." You stopped seeming to really see her for the first time. "When did you last eat?" The question caught Lily off guard. Kindness always did. She opened her mouth, closed it, tried to remember. I don't. The bakery's closed." Daniel looked around thinking. His eyes landed on a small cafe 2 doors down, still lit. Lily shook her head. "Yesterday." She shook her head again. Something changed in Daniel's expression. He looked at the money in his hand, then put it back in his wallet. "No, not money. Come with me." Fear sparked in Lily's chest. She'd heard those words before. Come with me. It never meant anything good. She took a step back. Daniel noticed immediately. He held up both hands. "I'm just going to buy you dinner. That's all. That cafe right there. You can sit by the window where people can see. I'll buy you food, you eat it, then you can go wherever you want. Okay?" Lily's stomach answered before her brain could. It cramped so hard she doubled over slightly. "Please," Daniel said, and he sounded almost desperate. "Let me buy you a meal. You saved me from. You have no idea what losing that wallet would have meant tonight. Just one meal. Please." Lily looked at the cafe. Through the window she could see people sitting at tables, eating. Normal people doing normal things. The smell of cooking food drifted out every time the door opened. "Just food." Her voice came out smaller than she meant it to. "Just food." Daniel promised. "And then you're free to go." Lily didn't believe in free lunches, or dinners, but she also didn't believe she could walk away from the smell of hot food when she was this hungry. She nodded, just a tiny movement. Daniel's whole posture relaxed. "Okay. Good. Come on." The cafe was warm. The heat hit Lily's face like a wall, making her eyes water. She stood just inside the door, suddenly aware of how she must look, how she must smell. But Daniel was already talking to the woman behind the counter, not giving Lily time to run. "We'll take a table," he was saying. "And can we get some water right away?" "Thanks." He gestured to a booth by the window, just like he'd promised. Lily slid in, her hands gripping the edge of the table. The vinyl seat was warm and soft. She couldn't remember the last time she'd sat somewhere this comfortable. Daniel sat across from her and pushed a menu into her hands. "Order anything you want." Lily stared at the menu. The words swam. She could read just fine, but there were too many choices, and the prices. "Don't look at the prices," Daniel said, like he could read her mind. "Just order what sounds good." The waitress appeared with water. Lily grabbed the glass and drank half of it in one go, her body screaming for it. When she looked up, both the waitress and Daniel were watching her with identical expressions of concern. "Can I start you folks with anything?" the waitress asked gently. "Give us a few minutes," Daniel said. After she left, he leaned forward. "What do you like? Burgers? Pasta? Soup?" Lily's throat felt tight. What's not expensive? I told you not to worry about that." "But please." Daniel's voice was firm but kind. "You sat in the cold for an hour waiting to return my wallet, when you could have just taken the money and gotten yourself dinner. Let me buy you dinner. Let me do this one thing. Please." Lily looked down at the menu again. Her eyes caught on the first thing that seemed safe. "Grilled cheese." "Just grilled cheese." She nodded. "Okay." Daniel flagged down the waitress, 1 grilled cheese sandwich, and tomato soup, and a hot chocolate, and he paused. "Actually bring her the chicken sandwich too, and fries." "Sir, that's a lot, I know. Just bring it." After the waitress left, Lily whispered, "I can't eat all that." "Then you'll take the rest with you." Daniel's voice left no room for argument. They sat in silence. Lily sipped her water. Daniel checked his phone, then put it away. Checked it again. Put it away again. He seemed nervous, though Lily couldn't imagine why. He was the one who belonged here. The food came faster than expected. The grilled cheese arrived first, golden and perfect, steam rising from it. Lily's hands shook as she picked it up. She forced herself to take small bites, to chew properly, even though everything in her wanted to devour it. She'd learned the hard way that eating too fast when you'd been hungry too long just made you sick. Daniel watched her eat, not in a creepy way, just sad. Like watching her hurt him somehow. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. Lily swallowed. "Lily? How old are you, Lily?" 10. She watched him do the math. 10 years old, on the streets, alone. His jaw tightened. "Where are your parents?" The soup arrived, saving her from answering. She focused on that instead, the warm broth sliding down her throat, filling the empty space inside her. It was the best thing she'd ever tasted. Everything was the best thing she'd ever tasted. But Daniel was patient. He waited until she'd finished half the soup before asking again. Softer this time. "Lily, your parents?" "My mom died." The words came out flat. Lily had said them enough times that they didn't feel like real words anymore. "Last winter." "And your dad?" Lily shook her head. "Never knew him. Mom never talked about him." Daniel started to say something else, but he was pulling out his wallet to pay for another drink, and that's when it happened. The wallet tilted. A photograph slipped out and landed on the table between them, face up. Lily's hand froze halfway to her soup spoon. Mom. It was Mom. Younger, smiling, wearing a dress Lily had never seen before. But it was definitely absolutely Mom. The cafe went silent. Or maybe that was just in Lily's head, because her ears had started ringing. "Why?" Her voice cracked. She cleared her throat and tried again. "Why do you have a picture of my mom?" Daniel had gone very still. He was staring at the photograph, then at Lily, then back at the photograph. His face had gone pale. "Your mom," he said slowly. "What was her name?" "Hannah." Lily's heart was pounding now. "Hannah Monroe." The silence stretched out. Daniel picked up the photograph with shaking hands. "Monroe," he repeated. "Your last name is Monroe." "Yeah. Why?" But even as she asked, Lily was starting to understand. Starting to see it in the way he was looking at her, in the photograph on the table, in the way her own last name suddenly felt heavy in her mouth. "Why do you have her picture?" Daniel set the photograph down very carefully, like it might break. When he looked at Lily again, his eyes were wet. "Because," he said, his voice rough, "I've been looking for you." Lily couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The cafe kept going on around them. The hiss of the espresso machine, the low murmur of conversations, the clink of silverware, but she and Daniel existed in a bubble of impossible silence. "That's not," she shook her head. "You can't, we just met." "I know." Daniel ran a hand through his hair, looking as shaken as she felt. "I know this sounds insane, but I knew your mother, years ago." The words hit wrong. Too many questions at once. Lily grabbed onto the easiest one. "How?" Daniel glanced around the cafe, then back at her. It's complicated." "Can I?" He gestured to the photograph still lying on the table. "Can I tell you about this?" Lily nodded. She didn't trust her voice anymore. Daniel picked up the photo again, his thumb brushing over Mom's face. "I didn't take this picture, my father did. About 11 years ago." He looked up at Lily. "Your mother worked at the hospital where my father was being treated. She was kind to him. Made him laugh when nothing else could. He talked about her all the time." Lily's chest felt tight. She remembered Mom talking about working at a hospital before Lily was born. Before everything got hard. "They became friends," Daniel continued. "Close friends. My father was going through a difficult time. He and my mother were separated. He was sick. Lonely. And Hannah, your mom. She understood loneliness." He paused. "My father fell in love with her." "What?" The word came out sharp. "I only found out after he died. 3 years ago." Daniel set the photo down. "He left me a letter, told me everything. About Hannah. About," he stopped, swallowed hard. "About you." The cafe tilted. Lily gripped the edge of the table. "My father and your mother," Daniel said carefully, "had a relationship brief. Just a few months. When she found out she was pregnant, she left. Disappeared. My father tried to find her, but Hannah didn't want to be found. She didn't want anything from him. No money. No help. Nothing. She just wanted to raise you away from all of this. He gestured vaguely, meaning wealth, meaning complications, meaning his world. Lily's mind was spinning. Your father. You mean? He was your father too. Daniel's voice cracked on the last word. Which makes you my half-sister. No. No, that wasn't possible. Lily had spent 10 years wondering who her father was, making up stories in her head about why he'd never been around. She'd imagined 1,000 different scenarios. But never this. Never that her father had another family. Never that she had a brother. You're lying. But even as she said it, she knew he wasn't. The way he looked at her. The photograph. The name Monroe that Mom had insisted on giving her. Even though Lily had asked why 100 times, and Mom had always said, because it's important. Because it's yours. I'm not lying. Daniel pulled out his phone. Scrolled through something, then turned the screen toward her. More photos. A man. Older, kind-faced, standing with a younger Daniel. Then another photo, the same man with Mom, both of them smiling at the camera. That's my father, Robert Monroe. And that's your mom. Lily stared at the photos until they blurred. After my father died. Daniel said quietly. I tried to find her. Find you. I hired people, spent months searching. But your mother. He smiled. Sad. She was good at staying hidden. Every time we got close, she'd already moved. Different job, different address. We never caught up. Why? Lily's voice was barely a whisper. Why did you want to find us? Because my father asked me to. Because he felt guilty. Because he set up a trust fund for you before he died, and he made me promise that if anything happened to Hannah, I'd make sure you were taken care of. Daniel leaned forward. Lily, when did your mom pass away? February. The word hurt to say. February 14th. Oh, last year. Daniel closed his eyes. And you've been on the streets since then? She nodded. Alone. Another nod. God. Daniel pressed his palms against his eyes. When he dropped them, he looked devastated. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. If I'd found you sooner. Why didn't Mom tell me? Lily interrupted. The hurt was rising now, replacing the shock. Why didn't she ever say my father was rich? Why didn't she? Her voice broke. We were so poor. We struggled every day. And there was money? There was someone who could have helped. I don't think she wanted help from us. Daniel said gently. My father told me in his letter that Hannah was proud. That she wanted to make it on her own. She didn't want you growing up in the shadow of the Monroe name, with all the expectations and complications that came with it. She wanted you to be free. Free? Lily's laugh was bitter. I was homeless. I'm still homeless. Is that freedom? Daniel flinched. She didn't know she was going to die. She thought she'd have time. She thought. He stopped. I'm sorry. There's no good excuse. She made choices, and some of them were wrong. But she loved you. My father said that was the one thing Hannah was absolutely certain about, that she loved you more than anything. Lily looked down at her half-eaten food. Her appetite was gone. Everything felt wrong. The warm cafe, the full plate, this stranger telling her impossible things about Mom, about herself, about a whole life she'd never known existed. What do you want? She asked, still not looking at him. What? You said you were looking for me. You found me. Now what? What do you want? I want to help you, Daniel said immediately. I want to give you the life my father intended for you. The trust fund, a home, school, everything. No. Daniel stopped. What? No. Lily finally looked up at him. I don't want your money. I don't want anything from you. Lily, you're a stranger. Her voice was shaking now. I don't know you. I don't care if we share a father. That doesn't make you family. Mom was my family, and she's gone. I don't need anyone else. You're 10 years old and you're sleeping on the street, Daniel said, his voice rising slightly. You need help. Not from you. They stared at each other across the table. Lily could see the frustration in Daniel's face, the desperation, but she'd learned not to trust desperation. Desperate people made promises they didn't keep. Daniel took a slow breath, visibly calming himself. Okay, I understand. This is a lot, too much too fast. But can I ask you one thing? Just one. Lily waited. Let me at least make sure you're safe tonight. Not forever, not even next week, just tonight. Let me get you a hotel room, clean clothes, a real bed. In the morning, if you still want nothing to do with me, I'll find a way to respect that. But please, just let me know you're not sleeping under a bridge tonight. Lily wanted to say no. Every instinct told her to run, to disappear back into the streets where at least she understood the rules. But she was so tired, so tired of being cold and scared and alone. Just tonight, she whispered. Just tonight, Daniel promised. And tomorrow you decide what happens next. Lily looked at the photograph of Mom still lying on the table. Mom looked happy in that picture. Really happy. Maybe that meant something. Maybe it didn't. Okay, she heard herself say, just tonight. The hotel Daniel chose wasn't fancy, which surprised Lily. She'd expected him to take her somewhere with chandeliers and doormen in uniforms. Instead it was a clean, quiet place on a side street, the kind of hotel business people used, practical and anonymous. Wait here, Daniel said, leaving her in a chair near the lobby while he checked in. Lily watched him talk to the desk clerk, saw money change hands, saw the clerk's eyes flick toward her with an expression Lily recognized, pity mixed with suspicion. 10 minutes later she was standing in a hotel room with 2 beds, a TV and a bathroom that gleamed white and spotless. Daniel set down the shopping bag he'd insisted on filling at a convenience store. Toothbrush, soap, a clean t-shirt that would be too big but better than what she had. The shower's all yours, he said, gesturing to the bathroom. Take as long as you want. I'll be right out here. Door stays open a crack if that makes you more comfortable. Lily looked at him, trying to figure out the angle. There had to be an angle. Nobody did nice things without wanting something back. What do you get out of this? She asked. Daniel blinked. What? This? She gestured around the room. The food, the hotel. Why are you doing this? He was quiet for a moment. Because my father asked me to take care of you. Because you're my sister. Because it's the right thing to do. People don't do the right thing just because it's right. Daniel's expression shifted into something sadder. You're 10 years old and you already think like that. That breaks my heart, Lily. She shrugged. Heartbreaking was just words. She'd heard lots of words on the streets. Words were cheap. Look, Daniel said, sitting on the edge of the far bed. I'm not going to lie to you. This is weird for me too. I just found out I have a sister, and she's been living on the streets for months while I've been searching for her. I feel guilty. I feel responsible. And yeah, maybe that's not fair to you. You didn't ask for any of this. But I can't just walk away now that I've found you. I can't do that to my father's memory, and I can't do it to you, even if I want you to. Even then, his voice was firm. But I'm not going to force anything. After tonight, you make the choices. I'll be around if you need me. Lily didn't believe that either, but she was too tired to argue. She took the shopping bag and went into the bathroom, leaving the door open a few inches like he'd suggested. The shower was the best thing that had happened to her in months. Hot water, actual soap that smelled like something other than public restrooms, shampoo for her hair that hadn't been properly washed since before Mom died. Lily stood under the spray until the water started running clear, instead of gray with dirt, then stood there longer just because she could. When she finally came out, wrapped in a towel that was scratchy but clean, Daniel was on his phone by the window. He glanced up, then away quickly to give her privacy. There's a robe in the closet, he said, and I ordered room service. Nothing fancy, just sandwiches and soup. Thought you might still be hungry. Lily was. She got dressed in the too big t-shirt and her own pants. She'd wash them in the sink later, and sat on the edge of the bed nearest the door. Daniel was right. She was still hungry. Maybe she'd always be hungry now. Maybe that's just what happened when you spent too long with nothing. The food arrived. They ate in silence, the TV playing quietly in the background. Some cooking show Lily didn't care about. But the noise was good. It filled the space so they didn't have to. I need to make some calls tomorrow, Daniel said eventually. To a lawyer, to get the legal stuff sorted out. Lily's hand stilled on her sandwich. What legal stuff? The trust fund. Your father's will. Making sure everything's properly documented so when you turn 18 you get what's yours. He paused. And to see about other options. What options? Daniel set down his food. Lily, you can't stay on the streets. You know that, right? Even if you don't want anything to do with me, there are places foster care. Lily's voice went flat. You mean foster care? Or group homes? Or no? Lily, I said no. She stood up, backing toward the door. You promised, you said tonight, and then I get to choose. I'm not going to force you into anything, Daniel said, standing too but keeping his distance. But I can't let you go back to sleeping under bridges. I can't do that. My father would never forgive me, and I'd never forgive myself. So what, you're going to call the cops on me? Turn me in? No, God no. Daniel looked horrified. I'm asking you to trust me, just a little, just enough to let me help. I don't trust anyone. I know. Daniel's voice was impossibly gentle, and I understand why. But Lily, you returned my wallet when you could have just taken the money. You sat in the cold for an hour, waiting for a stranger to come back. You did that because some part of you still believes in doing the right thing, in trusting that good things can happen. He took a careful step closer. Let me be the person who proves you right. Lily stood frozen, hand on the doorknob. She could leave, just walk out. He wouldn't stop her. She could see it in his face. He'd let her go if she really wanted to. But where would she go? Back to the streets? Back to being hungry and cold and so alone? What would it mean? She whispered. If I let you help, it means we go see a lawyer tomorrow. Get everything official. Make sure you're protected. Legally, financially, all of it. Then we figure out living arrangements. Maybe a group home. Maybe, with you. The words came out before Lily could stop them. She regretted them immediately, wished she could take them back. But Daniel's expression softened. Is that what you want? I don't know what I want. Lily's throat felt tight. I don't know anything anymore. Daniel crossed the room slowly, telegraphing every movement. He stopped a few feet away, close enough to talk quietly but far enough not to crowd her. How about this? Tomorrow we go to the lawyer, get the legal stuff handled, and while we're doing that, you think about what you want, not what you think I want, not what you think you're supposed to say, what you actually want, and whatever that is, we'll figure it out together, okay? It wasn't okay. Nothing about this was okay. But Lily nodded anyway, because she didn't know what else to do. That night, she lay in a real bed for the first time in months, clean sheets pulled up to her chin, and stared at the ceiling. Across the room, Daniel slept on the other bed, his breathing steady and even. He turned the bathroom light on and left the door cracked. Lily had noticed him do it without comment, like he understood she might not want to wake up in complete darkness. Lily thought about Mom. About all the times Mom had said Lily's last name was important, that it meant something. Had she known? Had she always planned to tell Lily someday, but died before she got the chance? She thought about Daniel's father, her father, a man she'd never met, but who'd apparently thought about her enough to set up a trust fund, who'd asked his son to find her, to take care of her. She thought about Daniel himself, this stranger who was supposed to be her brother, who'd bought her dinner in a hotel room, and asked for nothing in return except the chance to help. It was too much, all of it, too big, and too complicated, and too different from the simple survival math of the streets. But the bed was warm, her stomach was full, and for the first time in 8 months, Lily fell asleep feeling safe. The morning came too fast. Lily woke to sunlight through the curtains and the smell of coffee. Daniel was already awake, dressed in fresh clothes he must have gone out to buy while she slept. There were pastries on the table, and orange juice in plastic cups. Morning, he said when he saw her stir. How'd you sleep? Fine. The lie was automatic. She'd actually slept better than she had in months, but admitting that felt dangerous somehow. They ate breakfast in the same careful silence as dinner. Then Daniel made a phone call, his voice low and professional as he talked to someone named Callahan. When he hung up, he looked at Lily. The lawyer can see us this morning. Callahan's good. He handled my father's estate. He'll make sure everything's done right. He paused. You ready? Lily wasn't ready, but she nodded anyway. The lawyer's office was in a tall building downtown, all glass and steel. Lily felt small walking through the lobby, smaller still in the elevator that shot them up to the 23rd floor. Callahan turned out to be an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. He shook Lily's hand like she was an adult, not a kid, and gestured for them both to sit. Daniels told me the situation. Callahan said, settling behind his desk. I've pulled Robert's will and the trust documents. Everything's in order. The trust was set up specifically for you, Lily. Robert was very clear about his wishes. Lily's hands were shaking. She clasped them together in her lap. Callahan opened a folder. The trust is substantial. I won't go into exact numbers right now, but you'll never have to worry about money. When you turn 18, it's yours to do with as you please. Until then, it can be used for your education, medical care, housing, anything you need. I don't want it, Lily said. Both men looked at her. I don't want money from someone I never met. I just want. She stopped. What did she want? I just want to be normal. You are normal, Daniel said quietly. You're just a normal kid who had something terrible happen to her. This money doesn't change who you are. It just means you don't have to be hungry anymore. You don't have to sleep outside. You don't have to be afraid. Callahan cleared his throat gently. Lily, I understand this is overwhelming, but there's another matter we need to discuss. Your current living situation. Here it was. The part where they'd tell her she had to go into the system, had to live with strangers, had to be shuffled around until she aged out at 18. I want to petition for guardianship, Daniel said. Lily's head snapped up. What? Legal guardianship? I want you to live with me, permanently. If that's what you want, why would you want that? Daniel leaned forward. Because you're my sister, because I promised my father, because, he stopped seeming to search for words. Because when I saw you sitting on that sidewalk last night, holding my wallet, looking half-starved and scared but still trying to do the right thing, I knew I couldn't walk away. I knew I had to keep you safe. You don't know me. No, but I'd like to. His voice was so sincere it hurt. I'd like the chance to be your family, real family, not just a name on legal papers. If you'll let me. Lily looked at Callahan. Is that allowed? Can he just take me? With your consent and approval from family court? Yes, Callahan said. We'd need to file paperwork, undergo a home study, appear before a judge. It's not immediate, but if Daniel's found suitable and you're willing, then yes, it's absolutely possible. Her consent. They needed her consent, which meant she could still say no. Lily looked at Daniel. He looked back, waiting, not pushing, just waiting. If I say yes, Lily said slowly, what happens? We go home, Daniel said. To my place. We set up a room for you, get you enrolled in school, start figuring out how to be brother and sister. He smiled, tentative. It won't be perfect. I've never done this before, but I'll try. I promise I'll try. Lily thought about the streets, about the cold and the hunger and the fear, about sleeping in doorways and running from cops and never ever being safe. Then she thought about the hotel room, the warm shower, the full stomach, the way Daniel had kept every promise he'd made so far. She thought about Mom, about what Mom would want for her. Okay, she whispered. Daniel's whole face changed. Really, just, Lily swallowed hard. Just don't make me regret it. I won't. Daniel's voice was fierce. I swear to you, Lily, I won't. Callahan smiled and started pulling out forms. Daniel's apartment wasn't what Lily expected. She'd been picturing something enormous, marble floors and crystal chandeliers like in movies about rich people. Instead, it was just nice. A normal penthouse with big windows, comfortable furniture, a kitchen that looked actually used. Nothing felt cold or show-offy. Guest rooms down the hall, Daniel said, carrying in the shopping bags they'd filled that afternoon. New clothes, toiletries, a backpack for school. Lily had tried to say it was too much, but Daniel had just kept adding things to the cart. We can fix it up however you want. Paint it, get new furniture, whatever. Lily stood in the doorway of what would be her room. It had a bed, a real bed with a thick mattress and pillows that looked soft, a dresser, a desk, windows that faced the city. It's big, she said quietly. Too big. She shook her head. She'd been living in spaces barely large enough to lie down. This felt like a castle. Bathrooms across the hall, Daniel continued. You don't have to share it. It's just yours. Towels are in the closet. If you need anything, just ask. Lily set down her new backpack, then didn't know what to do with her hands. This didn't feel real. None of it felt real. You okay? Daniel asked. I don't know how to do this, Lily admitted. I don't know how to just live here. Neither do I, Daniel said. I've never had a kid sister before. We'll figure it out together. Over the next few days, they developed a routine. Daniel worked from home most mornings. His office door opened so Lily could hear him on conference calls. She'd sit in the living room with a book from his shelf, pretending to read while actually just listening to the sound of his voice. It was comforting somehow, knowing he was there. Afternoons, Daniel would take a break and they'd eat lunch together. Nothing fancy: sandwiches, soup, leftovers. He'd ask about what she'd read that morning, what she thought about getting enrolled in school soon, if she needed anything. Lily usually said no to the last question, even when the answer was yes. She was terrified of asking for too much, terrified that if she became inconvenient, he'd change his mind about wanting her here. So she made herself small, quiet, helpful. She cleaned up after herself obsessively, never left a dish in the sink, never left clothes on the floor. When Daniel cooked, she'd hover nearby, ready to help but not wanting to get in the way. "You don't have to do that," Daniel said one evening, watching her dry dishes as fast as he washed them. "I want to help, Lily." He turned off the water. "You're not a guest, you live here. It's okay to relax." But Lily didn't know how to relax, didn't know how to believe this would last. The first real fight came a week in. Daniel had made plans to meet a client for dinner, and Lily had been fine about it, or so she thought. But as the time got closer, something cold started spreading through her chest. "I'll be back by 9, Daniel said, putting on his coat. "Maybe 9:30, there's leftovers in the fridge, or you can order something if you want, just put it on my card." Lily nodded. She was sitting on the couch, holding a book she wasn't reading. "You sure you're okay?" Another nod. Daniel hesitated, then grabbed his keys. "Call me if you need anything." The door closed. The apartment went quiet. Lily sat frozen on the couch, watching the clock. 7:15, 7:30, 8 o'clock. The quiet got louder, pressing in from all sides. She tried to read, tried to watch TV, ended up just sitting there, hands clenched in her lap, breathing too fast. What if he didn't come back? What if this was it? He'd gotten tired of her already, found an excuse to leave, and now he was gone for good. What if she'd done something wrong, and didn't even know it? By 8:30, Lily was standing by the window, watching the street below. By 9, she was pacing. By 9:15, she was convinced something terrible had happened. The door opened at 9:20. Daniel walked in, already pulling off his coat, phone to his ear, finishing a conversation. "Yeah, I'll send you the contract tomorrow. Thanks." He hung up and looked at Lily, stopped. "What's wrong?" "Nothing." But Lily's voice shook. Daniel crossed the room. "You're crying." She was. Lily touched her face and felt wetness. When had that started? "I thought." She couldn't finish, couldn't say it out loud. "You thought I wasn't coming back." Daniel's voice went soft with understanding. "Lily, you said 9. It's 9:20. I know. The meeting ran long. I should have texted. I'm sorry." He crouched down to her level. "But I told you I'd be back. I keep my promises. Everyone says that." "I'm not everyone." Daniel's voice was firm but gentle. "I'm your brother, and I'm not going anywhere. Not tonight, not tomorrow, not ever. You're stuck with me now." Lily wanted to believe him, wanted it so badly it hurt. The next morning, Daniel didn't go into his office. He stayed in the living room with his laptop, working from the couch instead. When Lily asked why, he just said, "Felt like a change of scenery." But Lily knew, he was staying where she could see him, where she could know he was there. It helped, a little. School registration happened 2 weeks after Lily moved in. Daniel took her to the local elementary school, held her hand through the meetings with the principal and counselor, filled out form after form. Lily was supposed to start the following Monday. "Are you nervous?" Daniel asked on the drive home. Lily shrugged. She'd been to 4 different schools with Mom, moving every time the rent went up, or a landlord kicked them out. She knew how to be the new kid, knew how to be invisible. "It's okay to be nervous," Daniel said. "New school, new everything. That's a lot. I'll be fine." But she wasn't fine. Monday morning, Lily threw up her breakfast. Tuesday, she cried in the bathroom during lunch. Wednesday, she came home and went straight to her room without saying a word. Thursday, Daniel didn't make her go. "We're playing hooky," he announced. Just for today. I called the school. We're having a mental health day. That's not a real thing. Sure it is. Come on, get dressed. We're going out. He took her to the aquarium. Lily hadn't been since a field trip in first grade, back when Mom was alive and things were still okay. They walked through the dim halls with the tanks glowing blue around them, watching fish drift past like they had nowhere better to be. School's hard, Daniel said eventually. They were standing in front of the shark tank, watching something large and gray circle endlessly. Making friends is hard. Starting over is hard. It's okay to admit that. I don't want to admit it. Lily's reflection looked small in the glass. I want to just handle it, like you handle everything. Lily, Daniel turned to face her. I don't handle everything. I'm barely keeping it together most days. This whole guardian thing, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm terrified I'm going to mess you up somehow. She looked at him, surprised. Really, really, I wake up every morning, wondering if I'm feeding you the right things, if I'm saying the right things, if I should be stricter or more relaxed or... He stopped, laughed a little. Sorry, I shouldn't dump this on you. No, Lily grabbed his hand without thinking. I like it, when you tell me the truth. They stood there holding hands in front of the shark tank, and something shifted. Some small wall came down. I'm scared all the time, Lily admitted, that you'll get tired of me, that I'll mess up and you'll send me away. I won't. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Daniel squeezed her hand. Because you're family, and family doesn't give up on each other. Lily wanted to argue, wanted to point out that her father, their father, had given up on Mom, that Mom had died and left Lily alone. That family wasn't magic. It didn't fix everything, just by existing. But Daniel was still holding her hand, still standing there, patient and steady, still showing up, day after day, even when Lily made it hard. Maybe that was what family actually meant. Not perfection, just showing up. Okay, she whispered. Okay, I'll try to believe you. Daniel smiled. That's all I'm asking. They spent the rest of the day at the aquarium, then got ice cream even though it was cold outside. Lily got chocolate, Daniel got vanilla. They sat on a bench and watched people pass by, not talking, just being. When they got home, Lily went to her room and actually unpacked the rest of her things, put her clothes in the dresser, hung up the jacket Daniel had bought her, set the new books on the shelf. It still didn't feel permanent, but it felt closer. 3 months after Lily moved in, Daniel's mother finally decided to make an appearance. Margaret Monroe showed up on a Thursday evening, unannounced, her presence filling the doorway like cold air rushing in. Lily heard the knock, heard Daniel's surprised greeting, heard a woman's voice say, "We need to talk." Lily stayed in her room. She'd been doing homework, real homework, from a real school she actually attended now. But the numbers on the page stopped making sense the moment she heard that voice. "Lily," Daniel called, "can you come here for a minute?" She came out slowly. The woman in the living room was tall, elegant, everything pressed and perfect. Her eyes went to Lily and stayed there, assessing. "So this is her," Margaret said. "Not nice to meet you. Not hello. Just this is her." Like Lily was a problem to be examined. "Lily, this is my mother, Margaret Monroe." Daniel's voice was tight. "Mom, this is Lily. My sister, half-sister," Margaret corrected. "Let's be accurate." Lily said nothing. She'd learned on the streets that sometimes the best response was no response at all. Margaret turned to Daniel. "Can we speak privately? Anything you have to say, you can say in front of Lily." "Daniel, she lives here. She's family. Whatever this is about, she has a right to hear it." Margaret's lips thinned. She set down her expensive purse and folded her hands. "Fine. I'll be direct. This situation is unacceptable." "What situation?" "This." Margaret gestured at Lily without looking at her. "A child you barely know living in your apartment. Do you have any idea how this looks?" "I don't care how it looks." "Well, you should. The Monroe name means something in this city. Your father's legacy." "My father's legacy includes Lily," Daniel cut in. "He wanted her taken care of. I'm taking care of her. By playing house, by pretending to be her guardian, when you have no experience with children." Margaret shook her head. "There are better options. Professional options. Group homes with trained staff.
No. Lily's voice came out small but firm. Both adults looked at her. I'm not going to a group home. Margaret's eyes narrowed. Sweetheart, this isn't about what you want. Don't call me sweetheart.
The room went silent. Lily's heart was pounding, but she kept her chin up. She'd faced worse than a disapproving grandmother. Lily, Margaret said, her tone shifting to something that might have been sympathy if it wasn't so cold. I understand you've had a difficult time, but Daniel is not equipped to raise you. He works long hours, he travels for business. You need stability, structure. People who know what they're doing. He knows what he's doing. He's 32 years old and has never had responsibility for another person in his life. He's doing fine. Lily, Margaret crouched down, bringing herself to eye level. It was probably meant to be reassuring. It wasn't. I'm trying to help you. There's money set aside for you. Your father made sure of that. You'll never want for anything. But you deserve more than living in your brother's spare room, being an obligation he has to manage around his real life. The words hit like a slap. Obligation, spare room, real life. Lily looked at Daniel. He looked furious, mouth open to argue, but Lily spoke first. I'll go, she said quietly. What? Daniel's voice cracked. Lily, no, it's fine. She's right. I'm in the way. Lily backed toward her room. I'll pack my stuff. It's not a problem. Lily, stop. Daniel crossed the room, blocking her path. You're not going anywhere. But she said, I don't care what she said. Daniel's voice was hard now, harder than Lily had ever heard it. He turned to his mother. Get out. Margaret stood. Excuse me, you heard me. Get out of my home. Daniel, I'm your mother. And she's my sister. She lives here. She stays here. If you can't accept that, then you're not welcome. Margaret's face flushed. You're being ridiculous. I'm trying to protect you from making a mistake. The only mistake I'd be making is listening to you. Daniel's hands were shaking. Dad asked me to take care of Lily. I'm doing that. And I'm not going to let you or anyone else tell me I'm doing it wrong. This will ruin you, Margaret said coldly, taking in some street child trying to play savior. People will talk. They'll question your judgment. Your business will suffer. Then let it suffer. You can't mean that. I absolutely mean that. Daniel moved closer to his mother, his voice dropping low. For my entire life you've told me what the Monroe name means. Responsibility, dignity, taking care of our own. Well, Lily is our own. She's a Monroe too, whether you like it or not. And if you can't see that, if you can't accept her, then we have nothing more to say to each other. Margaret stared at her son. Something flickered in her expression. Surprise, maybe, or hurt, but it hardened quickly. Fine. She picked up her purse. When this falls apart, don't come crying to me. I won't. Margaret walked to the door, paused. You're throwing away everything for a child who'll probably run away the first chance she gets. Get out. Daniel's voice was ice. Now, Margaret left. The door closed behind her with a soft click that somehow felt louder than a slam. Daniel stood frozen for a long moment, staring at the door. Then he turned to Lily. Are you okay? Lily shook her head. She wasn't okay. Her chest hurt, and her eyes were burning, and everything Margaret had said was bouncing around in her skull. Obligation. In the way. Street child. She's wrong, Daniel said, about all of it. You're not an obligation. You're not in the way. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. But what if she's right? Lily's voice cracked. What if I ruin everything for you? Your business, your life, your relationship with your mom. Lily. Daniel knelt down. Look at me. She did. Barely. I chose you, he said. When I found out you existed, I could have just set up the trust fund and walked away. Let lawyers handle everything. But I didn't. I chose to find you. I chose to bring you here. I chose to become your guardian. And I would make that choice again every single day. Why? Because you're my sister. Because family takes care of each other. Because the first time I saw you sitting on that sidewalk holding my wallet, I knew. His voice got rough. I knew you were someone worth fighting for. Lily threw her arms around his neck. She'd never hugged him before. Never let herself get that close, that vulnerable, but she couldn't help it anymore. Daniel hugged her back, tight and sure. We're okay, he murmured. We're going to be okay. That night Lily couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Margaret's face, the cold certainty in her eyes. She kept hearing the words street child, obligation, mistake. Around midnight, she got up and went to the kitchen for water. Daniel was already there, sitting at the counter with his laptop open. "Can't sleep either?" he asked. Lily shook her head. "Want some hot chocolate?" She nodded. They sat together while the milk heated, not talking. Daniel poured the chocolate into mugs, added marshmallows without asking if she wanted them. He'd learned she liked marshmallows. Small thing, but it meant he'd been paying attention. "I'm sorry about my mother," Daniel said finally. "It's not your fault. Still, you shouldn't have to hear things like that." Lily wrapped her hands around the warm mug. "Do you think she'll try to take me away?" "She can't. The guardianship is legal. You're mine." He stopped. "I mean you're with me, legally. She can't change that. But she could make it hard, probably." Daniel sipped his chocolate. "Margaret's good at making things hard, but so am I. I didn't get where I am by giving up when things got difficult." "Where did you get?" Lily asked. "You never really talk about your job." Daniel smiled slightly. "I run a consulting firm. We help companies restructure, improve efficiency, that kind of thing. It's boring, honestly, but you're good at it." "Good enough." They drank their chocolate in comfortable silence. Then Lily asked the question that had been bothering her all evening. "Why did you really take me in? I know you said it was for your dad, but..." She looked up at him. "You didn't have to. You could have just given me money like your mom said." Daniel was quiet for a long moment. "The truth, please." "At first it was for my dad. He asked me to, so I would have. That was enough." He turned his mug in his hands. "But then I met you, and I saw how scared you were, how you'd been surviving on your own for months, and how you still tried to do the right thing, even when it hurt. I saw someone who deserved better than what life had given her. And I thought," he paused, "I thought, maybe I could be the person who gave you better. Maybe that was what I was supposed to do. And now it's not about obligation anymore. Now it's because I want to, because you're my sister and I." His voice caught. "I care about you, more than I expected to, more than I knew I could." Lily stared into her chocolate. "I care about you too." It was the most honest thing she'd said in months. The guardianship hearing was scheduled for a Tuesday morning in early spring. Lily wore new clothes Daniel had bought, a dress that made her feel uncomfortable and fancy all at once. Daniel wore a suit and kept checking his watch nervously. "It'll be fine," Callahan assured them in the courthouse hallway. "We have everything we need. Medical records showing Lily's in good health now. School reports showing she's doing well. Home study results that were excellent. The judge just needs to verify everything." But when they were called into the courtroom, Lily's stomach dropped. This was real, official. If the judge said no, she'd have to go somewhere else, become someone else's problem. The judge was a woman, older, stern-looking, with reading glasses perched on her nose. She reviewed the paperwork while Lily and Daniel sat at a table waiting. "Mr. Monroe," the judge said finally, "you've petitioned for permanent guardianship of Lily Monroe, age 10, your paternal half-sister. Is that correct?" "Yes, Your Honor." "And you've had temporary guardianship for 3 months now?" "Yes." The judge looked at Lily. "How are you doing, Lily?" Lily froze. She hadn't expected to be asked directly. "It's okay," the judge said gently. "I just want to hear from you. How has it been living with your brother?" "Good." The word came out small. Lily cleared her throat and tried again. "It's been good. He treats you well." "Yes." "You feel safe with him?" Lily nodded, then remembered she was supposed to speak out loud. "Yes, I feel safe." "And you want to stay with him? This is what you want?" Lily looked at Daniel. He gave her a small nod, not pressuring, just supporting, just letting her know it was okay to tell the truth. "Yes," Lily said, stronger now. "I want to stay with him." The judge made a note. "The social worker's report indicates you were homeless for approximately 8 months before Mr. Monroe found you. That must have been very difficult." "It was. But you're doing better now. In school, making friends, feeling stable." Lily thought about the nightmares she still had sometimes. The way she still hoarded food in her room just in case. The panic that hit her whenever Daniel was late coming home. But she also thought about the homework she did at the kitchen table. The girl in her class who'd invited her to a birthday party. The routine of breakfast and school and dinner and bedtime that made everything feel less chaotic. "I'm doing better," she said. "He helps me a lot." The judge looked at Daniel. "Mr. Monroe, are you prepared for the long-term commitment this represents? Lily will be your responsibility until she's 18. That's 8 more years. College planning, teenage years, medical decisions, everything. I understand, Your Honor. And you're financially stable, able to provide for her needs. Yes, I've provided documentation of my income and assets. And Lily has her trust fund from my father for her future needs. The judge nodded, reading through more papers. The silence stretched out. Lily counted her heartbeats. They were too fast, too loud. Finally the judge looked up. I'm granting the petition for guardianship. Daniel Monroe, you are hereby appointed legal guardian of Lily Monroe until she reaches the age of 18 or until further order of this court. The relief was so sudden and strong that Lily felt dizzy. Daniel's hand found hers under the table, squeezed tight. However, the judge continued, I want to make something clear to both of you. Lily, if at any point you feel unsafe or unhappy, you have the right to request a review of this arrangement. Daniel, guardianship is a privilege, not a right. I'll be requesting follow-up reports from social services at 6 months and 1 year. If anything suggests this arrangement isn't in Lily's best interest, we'll revisit it. Understood. They both said yes. Good, then we're done here. Good luck to you both. Outside the courthouse, Daniel stopped on the steps and just breathed. We did it. We did it. Lily echoed. Callahan shook both their hands. Congratulations, you're officially family now. They already were, Lily thought. The judge's ruling just made it legal. That evening Daniel ordered pizza, Lily's favorite, pepperoni and extra cheese, and they ate it in front of the TV watching some stupid comedy that made them both laugh. It felt normal. It felt right. Thank you, Lily said during a commercial break. For what? For not giving up. When your mom said all that stuff, when it would have been easier to just let me go. Daniel set down his pizza slice. Lily, I need you to understand something. There was never a moment where I considered letting you go, not one. From the second I realized who you were, you became the most important thing in my life. More important than my business, my mother's approval, any of it. You're stuck with me now, forever. Forever's a long time. Good thing I'm patient. He smiled. Besides, someone's got to make sure you do your homework. Lily threw a pillow at him. He threw it back. They ended up in a pillow fight that destroyed the careful arrangement of couch cushions and left them both breathless with laughter. Later, when Lily was getting ready for bed, she looked around her room, her real room now, officially hers. The walls were still the same boring beige they'd been when she moved in. She'd been afraid to change anything, afraid to make it too permanent, but it was permanent now. The judge had said so. Daniel, she called. He appeared in her doorway. Yeah, can we paint my room? Maybe blue. Daniel's smile was bright enough to light the whole apartment. We can paint it any color you want. We'll go pick out paint this weekend. Okay. Lily climbed into bed. Good night, Lily. He turned to leave, but she called him back. Daniel, yeah, I'm glad you found me. On that street, I'm glad it was you. Daniel's expression went soft. Me too, kiddo, me too. He left the door cracked open the way she liked it, light from the hallway spilling in. Lily lay in bed, looking at the ceiling, thinking about blue walls and permanent things, and the word forever. For the first time in over a year, forever didn't sound scary. It sounded like home. 4 months after the guardianship hearing, Margaret had a heart attack. It was mild. The doctors made that very clear when Daniel got the call. Mild, manageable, she'd be fine with rest and medication. But still, a heart attack. I have to go, Daniel said, already grabbing his keys. They'd been about to have dinner, pasta cooling on the stove. I'm sorry, I'll be back as soon as I can. I'll come with you, Lily said. Daniel paused. You don't have to. She hasn't exactly been kind to you. She's your mom. You should go, and I want to come. They drove to the Monroe estate in silence. Lily had never been there before. Daniel hadn't pushed it, understanding that Margaret's presence was something Lily needed to approach carefully, on her own terms. The house was massive, of course it was. 3 stories, probably 10 bedrooms, surrounded by perfect landscaping. It looked like something out of a magazine, cold and expensive. A housekeeper met them at the door, looking flustered. Mr. Daniel, thank goodness, she's upstairs, but she won't rest. The paramedics took her to the hospital, but she insisted on coming back home. The doctor said, where is she? Daniel interrupted.
The sitting room, second floor. Daniel took the stairs 2 at a time. Lily followed more slowly, feeling out of place in this enormous house with its art on the walls and thick carpets that swallowed sound. Margaret was sitting in an armchair, looking pale but upright. Her hair was perfect, her robe expensive. Even after a heart attack, she looked put together. Daniel, she sounded tired. You didn't need to come. Mom, you had a heart attack. A mild one. The doctors are being dramatic. Where's your staff? Where's Mrs. Chen? Daniel looked around. You shouldn't be alone right now. She went to get my medication. I'm fine. Stop hovering. Margaret's eyes moved past Daniel and landed on Lily, who'd stopped in the doorway. What is she doing here? Her name is Lily, and she lives with me, so she comes with me. I don't need an audience. Mom, I'm going, Lily said quietly. She didn't want to be here anyway. Didn't want to be around someone who looked at her like that. She turned to leave, but Margaret made a small sound. Pain maybe, or surprise. Lily looked back. Margaret's face had gone even paler, one hand pressed to her chest. Mom. Daniel's voice went sharp with fear. Margaret didn't answer. She was breathing funny, shallow and fast, her eyes unfocused. Lily moved before thinking. She'd seen this before on the streets. Someone going into distress, needing help fast. She crossed the room and knelt beside Margaret's chair. Call 911, she told Daniel. Now, call them now. Daniel fumbled for his phone while Lily focused on Margaret. Mrs. Monroe, can you hear me? Margaret's eyes found hers, confused and scared.
It's okay, Lily said, keeping her voice calm. Help's coming. Just breathe. Slow breaths. Like this. She demonstrated in and out, steady. Can you do that with me? Margaret tried. Her breathing was still wrong, but it evened out a little. Good. You're doing good. Lily looked up at Daniel. Is there aspirin? The doctor probably gave her aspirin. Yes, in the bathroom. I'll know. Stay on the phone with them. Tell me where. Medicine cabinet. Master bathroom. Down the hall. Lily ran. Found the bathroom. Found the aspirin. Ran back. Margaret was still conscious but fading, her skin gray now. Paramedics are 6 minutes out, Daniel said, his voice shaking. Good, that's good. Lily helped Margaret take the aspirin with water, careful to make sure she could swallow. You're okay, help's almost here, just hold on. Margaret's hand found Lily's arm, gripped tight, not pulling her closer, not pushing her away, just holding on. Lily stayed there, kneeling on the expensive carpet, holding the hand of a woman who'd called her a street child and tried to send her away. She stayed because it was the right thing to do, because someone was scared and needed help, because maybe underneath everything else that's what mattered. The paramedics arrived. They took over, efficient and calm, asking questions. Lily answered because Daniel was too shaken and Margaret couldn't speak. Yes, she'd had a heart attack earlier today. Yes, she'd been given medication. Yes, she'd seemed fine until about 10 minutes ago. They loaded Margaret onto a stretcher. As they carried her past, Margaret's eyes found Lily's again. Thank you, she mouthed. Lily nodded. At the hospital they waited. Daniel paced the hallway while Lily sat in an uncomfortable plastic chair, still wearing her dinner-stained t-shirt, completely out of place among the polished floors and serious doctors. You saved her life, Daniel said finally, stopping his pacing. If you hadn't been there, if you hadn't known what to do, I just did what anyone would do. No, you did what you were trained to do by living through things no kid should have to live through. His voice was rough. And you did it for someone who treated you terribly. Lily shrugged. She's your mom. She tried to take you away from me. I know, but she was scared, and I know what scared looks like. A doctor emerged, looking tired but pleased. She's stable. The second episode was minor, likely brought on by stress. We're keeping her overnight for observation, but she should make a full recovery. Daniel sagged with relief. Can we see her? Family only, and just for a few minutes. We're family, Daniel said firmly, putting a hand on Lily's shoulder. Both of us. Margaret was awake when they entered, hooked up to monitors that beeped steadily. She looked small in the hospital bed, smaller than Lily had ever seen her. How are you feeling? Daniel asked. Like I got hit by a truck. Margaret's voice was raspy, her eyes moved to Lily. You're still here? Yeah. Why? It was a genuine question, no hostility in it. Margaret seemed truly confused that Lily had stayed. because Daniel was worried, Lily said. And because you needed help. I wasn't kind to you. No, you weren't. Margaret was quiet for a moment. I thought you'd take advantage of him. Of the Monroe name, the money. I thought you'd ruin everything he'd built. I know. I was wrong. The words seemed to cost Margaret something. You could have walked away tonight. Could have let Daniel handle it alone. You didn't have to help me. Yes, I did. Why? Lily thought about it. About Mom and the things she'd taught her. About doing the right thing even when it was hard. About how people weren't all good or all bad. They were just people, complicated and messy and trying their best. Because you're a person, Lily said simply, and you needed help. That's enough. Margaret's eyes got wet. She looked away quickly but not before Lily saw. The doctor says you need to rest, Daniel said gently. We'll come back tomorrow. Daniel. Margaret's hand reached out, found his. Take care of her. Really take care of her. She's, a pause. She's better than I gave her credit for. It wasn't an apology, not quite, but it was something, a start. On the drive home Lily stared out the window at the city lights. Do you think she'll be nicer now? I don't know, Daniel said honestly. Maybe. People don't usually change overnight, but sometimes they change a little bit at a time. Yeah, sometimes they do. Lily thought about that. About small changes and second chances and how scary it was to trust someone who'd hurt you. But also about how Margaret's hand had gripped her arm, desperate and grateful. About how fear made people mean sometimes. About how helping someone, even someone who'd been cruel, could crack open a door that seemed permanently closed. I hope she does, Lily said. Change, I mean, even just a little. Daniel reached over and squeezed her hand. You're a good person, Lily Monroe. Mom taught me to be. She did a good job. They drove the rest of the way in comfortable silence, and when they got home the pasta on the stove was cold but Lily reheated it anyway. They ate dinner at 11 at night, talking about nothing important, just being together. It had been a strange day, a scary day, but they'd gotten through it, together. Margaret came home from the hospital 3 days later, armed with prescriptions and strict orders to rest. Daniel visited daily, bringing her books and magazines she pretended not to appreciate. Lily came too, sitting quietly in the corner while Daniel and Margaret talked about business matters and estate planning and all the boring things adults discussed. Margaret didn't talk to Lily directly. Not at first, but she didn't ask her to leave either, which felt like progress. 2 weeks after the heart attack, Margaret actually spoke to her. Lily, not honey or sweetie, or any of the fake endearments from before, just her name. Could you hand me that water glass? It was on the side table 3 feet from where Lily sat. An easy request, a normal request. Sure. Lily brought it over. Margaret took it with a quiet thank you. That was it. That was the whole exchange, but it meant something. The next visit, Margaret asked if Lily was doing well in school. The visit after that, she commented that Lily looked healthier than before. Small things, tiny cracks in the wall between them. A month after the heart attack, Margaret did something unexpected. She asked Lily to come by alone. Are you sure? Daniel asked when he relayed the message. I can come with you. It's okay, Lily said, though she wasn't sure if it was. She probably just wants to talk about something without you there. The housekeeper let Lily in and directed her to the sitting room, the same room where Margaret had collapsed. Lily tried not to think about that as she walked in. Margaret was sitting in her usual chair, looking stronger now. The color had returned to her face. She gestured for Lily to sit across from her. Thank you for coming. Lily sat carefully on the edge of the couch. Daniel said you wanted to see me. I did. Margaret folded her hands in her lap. I owe you an apology. Of all the things Lily had expected, that wasn't one of them. You don't. Yes, I do. Let me say this. Margaret took a breath. When Daniel first told me about you, I saw you as a threat, an outsider trying to claim what wasn't yours. I didn't consider that you were a child who'd lost her mother, who'd been living on the streets, who'd been through more trauma by age 10 than most people experience in a lifetime. She paused. I saw what I wanted to see, and I was cruel. Lily didn't know what to say. She picked at a loose thread on her jeans. The night I collapsed, Margaret continued, I was terrified. And you were the one who helped me. You didn't have to. I would have understood if you'd walked away, but you didn't. Her voice got softer. You stayed. You helped. You were kind when you had every right to be cruel. I just did what was right. That's exactly my point. You did what was right even when it was hard. That says more about your character than anything else could." Margaret leaned forward slightly. "I was wrong about you, Lily, and I'm sorry." The apology sat between them, awkward and genuine. Lily looked up, met Margaret's eyes. "Okay," she said. "Okay, I accept your apology." Lily hesitated. "But I'm not going to pretend everything's fine now. You really hurt me. You made me feel like I didn't belong, like I was ruining Daniel's life just by existing. I know, so it's going to take time for me to trust you." "I understand." Margaret nodded. "I'm not expecting us to be close, but I would like to try, to get to know you, to be," she searched for the word, "present in your life, if you'll allow it." Lily thought about Daniel, about how he'd shown up every single day, even when she pushed him away, about how family wasn't just blood, it was choice and effort, and showing up even when it was uncomfortable. "We can try," she said finally. Something in Margaret's expression relaxed. "Good, that's good." They talked for a while after that. Real talking, not just polite questions. Margaret asked about school, and Lily told her about the science project she was working on. Margaret mentioned she used to love science as a girl, before society told her young women should focus on other things. It wasn't comfortable, it wasn't easy, but it was a start. Over the following weeks, Margaret made small efforts. She asked Lily and Daniel to dinner at the estate, real dinner, not just a quick visit. She remembered Lily's birthday was coming up and asked what she might like as a gift. She even showed up at Lily's school for a class presentation, sitting in the back row beside Daniel. They weren't close, maybe they'd never be close, but they were learning how to exist in the same space without tension crackling between them. One afternoon, about 6 weeks after the apology, Lily and Margaret were alone in the garden, while Daniel took a business call inside. Margaret was showing Lily the roses she'd planted years ago, explaining the difference between varieties. "My mother taught me about roses," Margaret said, deadheading a bloom. "She said they were the perfect metaphor for life, beautiful but requiring constant care, protective thorns, the ability to bloom even after being cut back." Lily touched a soft petal. "Did you like your mother?" Margaret considered the question. "Sometimes, she was difficult, demanding, but she loved me in her way." She glanced at Lily. "I'm trying not to make the same mistakes with you that she made with me." "What mistakes?" "Caring more about appearance than substance. Valuing what others thought over what was actually important." Margaret snipped another dead bloom. "I spent so much time worrying about what your presence would do to the Monroe reputation that I didn't stop to think about what was actually right, what Robert would have wanted, what Daniel clearly wanted, what you deserved." "People make mistakes," Lily said quietly. "Mom used to say that what matters is what you do after." "Your mother sounds like she was wise." "She was." Lily's throat got tight like it always did when talking about Mom. "I miss her." "I'm sure you do." Margaret set down her gardening shears. "For what it's worth, she raised a remarkable daughter. You're kind, resilient, honest. Those are rare qualities." The compliment settled warm in Lily's chest. "Thank you." They worked in the garden together until Daniel finished his call. On the drive home he asked how it went. "Good," Lily said, and meant it. That night, lying in bed in her blue room, they'd painted it months ago, a soft sky blue that made Lily feel calm. She thought about second chances, about how Margaret had been wrong, and mean and hurtful, but also about how she'd apologized, how she was trying. People weren't all good or all bad, they were complicated. They made mistakes, and if you were lucky, they tried to fix them. Lily was learning that family was complicated too. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't always easy, but it could be real. And real was better than perfect any day. Spring turned into summer, and summer into fall. Lily turned 11, started 6th grade, made actual friends, real ones, the kind who invited you over and remembered your birthday and texted you silly pictures just because. Daniel's business had a particularly good year. He took on a new partner, which meant slightly more travel, but he always came back when he said he would. Every single time. Margaret became a semi-regular presence in their lives.
Sunday dinners at the estate, the occasional shopping trip when Lily needed new clothes, a standing invitation to use the pool in the summer. It wasn't warm or affectionate. Margaret wasn't built that way, but it was steady, reliable. One Saturday in October, Margaret surprised them both by showing up at the apartment with paperwork. "What's this?" Daniel asked, taking the folder she handed him. "College fund documentation." Margaret sat down like she'd been invited. "I've been thinking about Lily's future. The trust from Robert covers quite a bit, but I want to contribute as well. For education, travel, whatever she needs when the time comes." "Mom, you don't have to." "I want to." Margaret's tone left no room for argument. "Consider it my way of making up for lost time." Lily, who'd been doing homework at the kitchen table, looked up. "You're giving me money for college?" "For college, graduate school, whatever you decide. You're clearly intelligent. You should have every opportunity." Margaret paused. "Your father would have wanted that. Both of your fathers." It was the first time Margaret had acknowledged Robert as Lily's father out loud. The first time she'd put Lily and Daniel on equal footing as his children. "Thank you," Lily said softly. "You're welcome." That evening after Margaret left, Daniel and Lily sat on the couch with hot chocolate, their ritual now for important conversations. "She's really trying," Lily said. "She is. Do you think she actually likes me now, or is she just being polite?" Daniel considered that. "I think she respects you, which for my mother is actually more valuable than being liked. She respects how you've handled everything, how you've grown, who you're becoming." "Who am I becoming?" "Someone pretty amazing." Daniel bumped her shoulder with his. "Smart, kind, resilient. You're going to do great things someday, Lily." "Like what?" "I don't know. Whatever you want. That's the point. You get to choose now. You get to have a future." Lily thought about that, about how a year and a half ago her future had been non-existent. Day-to-day survival, nothing beyond the next meal or the next safe place to sleep. And now she had college funds and a family and possibilities spreading out in front of her like roads on a map. "I want to help people," she said. "Kids like me, who don't have anywhere to go." "That's a good goal. Maybe social work, or teaching, or," she trailed off embarrassed. "Or what? I don't know. Something that matters, something that would make Mom proud." "Lily," Daniel set down his mug and turned to face her fully. "Your mom would already be proud. Look at everything you've survived, everything you've overcome. You took the worst thing that could happen, and you didn't let it break you. That alone would make her proud." "You think so?" "I know so." They drank their chocolate in comfortable silence. Outside, the city hummed with its usual energy, car horns and distant sirens, and the sound of millions of people living their lives. Lily used to be invisible in that crowd. Now she was part of something, part of a family. "Daniel," she said, "can I ask you something?" "Always." "Do you ever regret it, taking me in? All the complications I brought?" Daniel didn't answer right away. He thought about it, giving her question the weight it deserved. "No," he said finally, "not even for a second. You didn't complicate my life, Lily, you completed it. I didn't know something was missing until I found you, but it was, and now it's not, even though your mom was mad, especially because of that. Standing up for you, choosing you over her approval. That was the first time in my life I'd done something purely because it was right, not because it was expected. You gave me that." He smiled. "You gave me a lot of things. A reason to come home, someone to take care of, a sister, a family." Lily leaned her head on his shoulder. "You gave me those things too." They stayed like that for a while, just sitting together. The apartment was warm and quiet, filled with the kind of peace that comes from being exactly where you're supposed to be. A year ago Lily had been sitting on a cold sidewalk, holding a stranger's wallet, trying to decide between survival and honesty. She'd chosen honesty, and that choice had led her here, to a brother who showed up every day, to a grandmother learning to love her, to a life that felt stable and safe and real. She'd never forget the streets, never forget the hunger and fear and loneliness, but she didn't live there anymore. She lived here, in this warm apartment with blue walls and hot chocolate, and someone who'd chosen her. "Hey Daniel," she said. "Yeah, I love you." The words hung in the air. Lily had never said them before, never to anyone except Mom, never thought she'd say them again. Daniel's arm tightened around her shoulders. His voice was rough when he answered, "I love you too, kiddo." And Lily knew he meant it, not because he had to, not because of blood or obligation or promises made to their father, but because it was true, because they were family, the real kind. 2 years later, Lily stood in front of her junior high school giving a presentation on homelessness for civics class. She talked about statistics and shelter systems and policy changes that could help, but she also talked about being 10 years old with nowhere to go, about what hunger felt like, about the man who'd given her a chance when she needed it most. Daniel sat in the back row next to Margaret, both of them watching with identical expressions of pride. After the presentation, Margaret drove them all out for ice cream, her treat, she insisted. They sat at an outdoor table despite the autumn chill, talking about Lily's presentation and how well she'd done. "You were very articulate," Margaret said, eating her vanilla cone with perfect posture. "Compelling, but not melodramatic." "Well done." From Margaret, that was high praise. Lily grinned. "Thanks. Have you thought more about what you want to study in college?" Margaret continued. "You mentioned social work before. Maybe, or psychology, or both." Lily shrugged. "I have time to figure it out." "That you do." Daniel smiled at her. "No rush." They finished their ice cream and headed home as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Lily sat in the back seat watching the city pass by through the window. She thought about the wallet again. That moment on West Madison Street when everything changed, when she'd had to choose between taking what she needed and doing what was right. She'd done what was right, and it had given her everything, not just money or safety or a home, though those mattered, but something bigger, a second chance, a family, a future. And that Lily thought was worth more than any amount of cash in a lost wallet. That was worth everything.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.